Hello, welcome back to the weekly poster roundup. This is for the week of the 22nd of July. And I'm really excited about the posters that I have to share with you. I think there's about 20, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker. So let's start with You Gotta Believe. Man, I'm tempted to put this in D just because it's just so basic. But, I like to reserve D for stuff that I think are actual kind of eyesores and things that I just hate to look at. And, I don't I don't think that this is like the worst thing to look at. It's just for such an inspirational true story, it's just an extremely uninspired poster. I don't know. I mean, there's a couple details here and there that I kind of like. You know that it's going to be set in Texas. Nothing sticks out as something particularly egregious about it. I think that kind of like shoehorning in the tagline here, it's like I kind of like the color of the font there, but I don't know. So it's either a low C or a high D. I'm gonna go D for now, and then if there are things that are worse, I'll scooch it maybe higher. Winona Earp Vengeance. This is one of those posters where like I appreciate the effort that goes into this kind of thing. It's got the blue and it's got the red, but this just looks really ugly to me. I think all this text here being equal in size just kind of grosses me out a little bit. It's just like it just seems like it's just smushed onto the rest of this poster. And even the rest of the poster, as much as we want to say that like blue and red complementary colors, there's like a nice harmony in the poster, it's just kind of an eyesore. I honestly think that this is an eyesore, but there's more effort put into this than the last one. So I do think I ought to put it... No, I'm going to put it lower because I just don't like this at all. I just don't... I'm sorry to the poster designers. I think that, there's a lot of good detail in there, but it just looks like something I would never watch. And part of that is because of the poster design. We're starting with bad ones, by the way. Like, I wanted to go in reverse alphabetical order because I feel like there are better ones on the tail end of this list. So the Wild Robot, yeah, I don't know. It's just a bunch of characters running towards the camera. I don't see anything particularly innovative about it, other than just the fact that it's less corny than You Gotta Believe. I think it does edge it out there. I think that just, the flares being bright yellow and lighting the entire background, and it's, set in night, I think that's pretty cool, and that sort of matches with the yellow font of the title in The Wild Robot. So I'm gonna give this a C. I don't think it's quite as egregious as the last ones. All right, Transformers 1. This one is really gross. I really hate this poster. I think you know what I'm about, and I just think that these posters where it's just all the characters kind of pasted next to each other is just so uncreative. This just looks like a CGI mess. I hope the movie's better than this poster is. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is an eyesore. I think I'm going to put this below Winona Earp, personally. Transformers 1. Is this one even worse than the last one? I mean, I guess comparing them, this one at least has, a tagline, Witness the Origin. Tells you a little bit about what the story is. And there's fewer characters, I guess. But then it does that thing where it has one looming head on top of everything, kind of like You Gotta Believe. I don't know, but it's about as equally as bad as the last one. I think I might like the last one a bit more. With all these D's down there, I think I'm gonna put You Gotta Believe in the lower C category, just because these bottom three are actual eyesores, and You Gotta Believe is at least generic, but it's okay to look at. Okay, now we're getting to something really cool here. I really like this poster. The yellow-red just works so well together. There's just a great harmony, and you see this beautiful design of a heart, but with corn sticking out of it. I think that's so creative, and I love how it all leads down to this nice little plant that's getting the drips of blood there. I sort of appreciate the fact that they thought that plant was so important to the concept and the design of the rest of the poster that they even pushed all the credits above it just so that would be the final element on the poster. I also like how there are these really subtle streaks of red in the yellow background. Oh, man, this is going to be hard. I think I'm going to have to put this in the S. For now, we'll see if maybe there are ones that convince me a bit more than this one, but I think that this is like an S tier. I would be really glad if I was a filmmaker and they came up with a poster like this. For me, it's beautiful. It's art, and it's perfectly mysterious. I guess like the one qualm is that I have like no clue what this is going to be about. But if we're just looking at poster as an art form rather than as a commercial medium, then this has got to be an S, right? The Man in the White Van, the horror a nation learned to fear. Okay, now I've reviewed quite a few horror posters up till now, and I think Longlegs might still be my favorite that I've reviewed in the last month. But this is up there. Like, I think this is just a really great concept because we know that it's like this menacing kind of cliche of there's a man in like a van that's there to like kidnap girls or something like that. And so just showing these adornments that are like hanging on the mirror with the rain speckled glass of the windshield. And then we have this tagline that is just beautifully implemented into the poster. It really feels like it is a part of it. It feels like almost you're looking at it like as like a blurry element on the windshield. You know what I mean? And same with the logo. I think the logo itself is so nice there. I just love this white against this red backdrop. This is a beauty. I also really like this white frame around it. It's just such a nice poster. Man, I don't know if I like this as much as Seeds. I just love also how these logos are down here. Really subtle, but fits with the color scheme. I don't know, man. I think this has got to be an S as well. I don't think so. Maybe an A for now. We'll shuffle these around once we get to the final ones. All right, The Killer's Game. As far as posters where it's just a bunch of characters posing in front of a camera and pasted on top of each other, this is at least a better implementation of that genre of poster. Even if it's still not my favorite cliche, at least they do something kind of clever with it where it does create sort of a form here that is aesthetically pleasing to look at. We have these knives and things sticking into the walls, which is just like, which is a theme throughout this poster. And it almost seems like this title is bleeding because of those knives. We have the landscape of, I don't know what city that might be, underneath Terry Crews there. All the text here I think is pretty solid. I do like how all of this is sort of slanted diagonally and the names are sort of, inclined that way. I'm going to say that I do like this poster. I might go ahead and put that in B as like a high B. The thing working against it is the fact that it's just not that original. All right, The Killer. So this is the second Killer poster that I've reviewed. And the last one I had some complaints with. This one, it's a little bit better than the last one. Everything's on this diagonal angle, and I think that that's just a really cool element, all on a white background with the black and white characters. I don't mind that. I think that this is pretty cool. It's not my favorite to have the same two characters shown twice on the poster, unless it's for like an artistic purpose, but in this case it just doesn't seem so. I think I'm going to put this in B. I might like it more than Killer's Game just because it's a little bit more creative, even though Killer's Game is maybe a bit better executed. Like, I would sooner hang this poster up on my wall before Killer's Game, personally. I think that it's got a more creative proposition, if you will. Incoming, I kind of like the way that this text sort of works as like as a right triangle, if you will, with the tagline on top, the text being slightly wider, then all the credits being even wider. I think that's pretty cool. I kind of wish that all of this were just better done. You know what I mean? Like, here I feel like they had a concept that was kind of cool and they could have gone further with it. Like making them in the form of this splashing cola spill. That's a cool concept and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, in execution, it does just seem like faces that they pasted on top of this form rather than actually merging them and making them flow down as if it were the cola. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the concept. I just, again, feel like the execution's like somewhat lacking, but I don't mind. Just in general, the color scheme, all of these people are like kind of have an orange hue to them with all the red text. I think this is probably a B, but maybe a worse than Killer's Game, I would say. Because ultimately, this is still just floating heads pasted next to each other. Kind of like Killer's Game, but the Killer's Game execution is pretty spot on, and this one's just a little bit lacking. Okay, his three daughters. I don't know. Like, this as a movie seems like something that would appeal to me, and this poster appeals to me because it makes it seem like it's a genre that I would like. But if I'm just analyzing it as a poster, I don't think it's like that good. It's pretty simple. Like, it's like a still from the movie. It just seems like they were just trying to conform all the text in order to be able to see these characters' faces. And in doing so, they've sort of sacrificed a nice sort of like unity, you know, having all this text here just so that her face, I'm pretty sure that's Natasha Lyonne, is kind of stuck between these two pieces of text. And it doesn't seem like it's a creative choice. It seems more like, okay, we got to show our three leads' faces. We like this still. So now put the text around the faces so that it's not covering any of their faces. And I don't know if it's like a particularly creative, artistic decision to do that. I don't know. I think I'm going to put that in a high C. All right, Gunner. I'm going to say that this is like pretty close to You Gotta Believe in that it's well executed for what it's doing, but it's just so generic to me. They've gone for this kind of blue and orange color scheme that works well. That's very typical for action movies. You think of Bourne Identity. As formulaic as it is, it's not an eyesore. It fits into the genre really well. It's just not original in any way. As generic as it may be, at least they're not falling into traps like putting in a bunch of characters' faces or anything like that. It is pretty simple. It is pretty slick. I might put it just slightly above You Gotta Believe because that one's like it's just so corny. All right, Kevin Smith's The 4:30 movie. See, I kind of like the way that they, put the credits. Like normally these blocks of text aren't integrated into a movie poster. The rest of the poster doesn't appeal to me that much. I kind of like this concept, even if it's not the most original thing I've seen. I don't know. I think I might put this kind of in the level of his three daughters. Dee Dee. Yeah, this is really nice. I really like this sort of like neon green / yellow combined with the dark navy blue. I think that's a really cool color scheme that I don't see that often, and it works super well here. Again, it's a still, but they do at least something really interesting with the text. They have Dee Dee, the characters in between the pinion. This is, I think, what his three daughters should have gone for. It's still just a still from the image with the main character at the front of it, and it's just like an exercise on how to implement text in an interesting way, and his three daughters doesn't really do that, and Dee Dee does. I think this might just be an A. All right, The Dead Thing. This is such a cool poster. Like, firstly, just concentrating all the text in this one little bubble here. This blue color scheme actually, it's interesting. We have a similar color scheme to Dee Dee, where it's kind of dark blue and yellow, and this one's also kind of dark blue and yellow. It's got these red lips here, but the fact that you don't really see her face at all. Ultimately, this is just a photo, right? I mean, it might be a manipulated photo on Photoshop, but this is just one photo, and it's a similar exercise of getting a still and putting some text on it, and it's just so cool. I might actually prefer this to Seeds. I mean, they're both S tier, so I have no complaints with either of them, but this is just, this is really, really great stuff. This is one of my favorite posters that I've seen this year. I could imagine this in an art gallery. I'm really excited to share this poster with you guys. This is the third time that I reviewed a Crow poster. I've felt bad for not putting the previous Crow posters any higher than a B. I respected the craft behind it, but they just didn't appeal to me. This is a really awesome poster. I think this is just so cool. The way that these characters are black and white, but their faces, their clothes, and their backgrounds are all painted between the red and the light purple. It's just such a cool design choice. I think that all that text is really well proportioned, unlike the previous posters. I always had just like a small issue with the text. I really love this. This is like the first poster that's actually made me be like, you know what? I want to go see this movie a lot. Yeah. So I'm going to definitely go with an A. All right, Concussed. This is a simple poster. I like it. It's not going for much. It's still a still, but it's got this cool photoshopped element to it. The fact that his head is sort of cracking under the pressure. I imagine it's about, concussions in American football. It's a simple poster with like just this one subtle design element that I just really appreciate. I don't know if I love this photo that much. I would have maybe tried going for some other poses and things. But I don't have any like problems with it. It's just, and I really like this idea here, and I like the fact that it's very subtle. It's not in your face or anything like that. So I like it, but I don't love it. I think it's definitely a high B, maybe above The Killer. All right, Bagman. Yet another really cool horror poster. I think this is really nice. We have the title, which is a really, really cool font. They probably invented it for this poster. All the text is just very subtle. And in the middle, we have this really menacing, really creepy central image that's equally as intriguing as it is horrifying. It's hard for me to compare between this and The Man in the White Van, because I think that they are both going for different things. I think I'm going to go with The Man in the White Van above it, just because I feel like that one has a more unique premise, in that it's just a detail inside of a car and it tells you so much more than what it shows you. Whereas here, what it shows you is what's scary. The other one implies kind of what's scary underneath it, and I think that that's a little bit more creative. It's a little bit more ambitious. All right, Am I Racist? Matt Walsh. This is a movie that does not appeal to me whatsoever. It does seem racist. I don't know. I feel like I've seen posters like this where it's just a headshot. See, I don't know what Matt Walsh looks like. I imagine that that's him. Just the fact that he's white doesn't add anything to the subtext of what this title is. It's a very provoking title. I don't think the poster is provoking in any way. This text here in theater September 13th is like awful to look at. It's an interesting font, but I don't know what it's going for. And maybe it's trying to be just provocative. Am I racist? You know how on Reddit or something like that, when people are kind of being provocative or poking fun at something, they'll type things in capitals and in lowercase letters. I think that this is what it's sort of going for, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's a high D. I prefer You Gotta Believe, as generic as it is, to this, where I think it is kind of ugly. Down to the last one, and we're getting yet another really great horror poster. After quite a few lackluster horror posters in previous weeks, we've gotten some really cool ones. This isn't the official Alien Romulus poster, but it's a new poster for the Latin American audience, and so I just decided to include it because I thought it was really cool. I really like the blue color scheme. It really gives you this cold feeling. All the text is in white. I think that it's a really nice kind of positioning of the text, where we have this really cool upside down triangle shape using this negative space really well. I really like how his saliva is just sort of dripping. It's just there's just these really nice details here. This is just so gruesome, kind of like Bagman, where what you see is what you get, and it is very terrifying. I really like sort of the structure, the way that it's sort of, we're working on two diagonals here. So I'm going to put that up in the A as well. So we've gotten more A's than B's this time. Let me know what you think of this group of posters. I think we've gotten a lot of really good ones, and even some of the more mid ones are pretty solid. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.